Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. That must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, it's my own little Slambo. It's Tom. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, friends. How's it going?
Hey, that's right. Also joining us, the one, the only, man, I'm very, very happy we finally got on the show. It is a crime against humanity that he has not been here sooner. Co-host of Garagehammer, TO of Adepticon, and many other tournaments, TO extraordinaire. It's Alex Gonzalez. Alex, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, gentlemen. How are you?
Fantastic. We are glad to have you. And, you know, our main topic today we're going to get into later in the show is all about tournaments in Age of Sigmar. And I don't think we could have a better expert, frankly, because, Alex, I believe right now, as things stand, you are about a month away from wrangling probably the largest AOS GT in the United States. Is that correct?
North America.
Oh, there you go. Yes, the continent. That's correct.
Non-England. Yeah, no, it's that big. It's about 120 players for Saturday and a little over 100 for Saturday, Sunday. So big deal.
There you go. So we have went straight to the expert here for this one, and we're gonna squeeze Alex's brain for all the knowledge juice we can get out of it. That's the goal here, to share, because I think that he's probably got a lot of wisdom, because I'm guessing that there are maybe some burgeoning TOs out there, maybe just wanting to run some stuff, even if it's small and local. And I think we can probably hopefully got some good lessons to share. So, but of course, first, let's start off with some news. Tom, you're still looking for this. Let it go.
They said it's there, so it has to be there, right?
Well, Tom, would you like to share the piece of news that you're talking about? Go ahead, Tom. Take us away.
A Hastings rumor leaked yesterday, maybe. There was a conversation between Hastings and Bob on War of Sigmar, and they just kind of casually bantered back and forth, like, hey, have you heard about those Cthulhu Deep One elves that are dropping later this year? And they're like, oh, is it after the Steam Head? Yeah, I think so. I think there's some Skaven stuff on the way. And somebody's like, oh, there's also that giant Skaven landship spider thing and a piece of art passing around that we've been kind of laughing at from the new Stormcast Battletome. And so I've had my nose buried in the Stormcast Battletome looking for this spider thing, this hypothetical spider thing. I am on page 124 with no luck. So where is this potential piece of art? That's what I want to know. Tell me the page number. Put it in the show notes. Okay.
There you go. Comment below. Let us know.
But Cthulhu elves, I'm down. It's interesting. Some people pointed out that like that idea ties in fairly well with actually what we received with Silver Tower. There's some aesthetic choices on the two elves there.
Sure, the Tenebral Shard has the weird tendrils and tentacle stuff.
Like the tentacles coming where his foot are, potentially if he's jumping out of shadows. And then also they have like a little like bird skull on their belts. On both models have a little bird skull icon on them. That's and these little fish hook like hooks that aesthetically aren't in any other models. And so they do share a handful of elements together. Which, and I guess in the novel of the Silver Tower, those two characters work together and murder the rest of the party.
Nice.
So, like, in one of the, like, different things that, like, the Gaunt Summoner looked at different parties, and those two, like, joined together and murdered the rest of the group. So
here's my question. So, yeah. Alex, are you a fan of sort of the H.P. Lovecraft, the Cthulhu thing? Do you like that kind of aesthetic, that stuff, that alien type of themes?
It's okay. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the concept of Cthulhu-esque or Deep Ones elves, because that part of me wants to say, well, that fits in with kind of like Black Art Corsairs and
sure,
whatever they're called now. But in any event, I don't know. I'm
the Charybdises.
Huh?
The Charybdises.
Oh yeah, I'm not super big on the Cthulhu look, but that's just me.
You know, I'm in the same camp as you, to be completely honest. I've never been that enchanted by this. I feel like Cthulhu's become like this pop culture icon, and it's just weird. But like, it's weird to find a strange creature from the alien deep that would devour all of humanity and existence and sanity as to be a thing you want to hold up and be positive about. But hey, whatever. But my point is that has worked its way into a lot of other games, like, you know, D&D in recent years added like the alien world and that other world and those Cthulhu-esque figures and stuff like that. So, but it's always surprised me it never really worked its way into into sort of a Warhammer thing. I can't.
Really?
There was
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
You don't.
yeah,
You
what-
don't think that fits Zinch with all of his tentacles and?
no, I
like-
don't because just tentacles isn't enough.
Oh, I don't know. You're
That's
halfway
not-
there with Cthulhu. You're
it's
tentacle.
Go
And now we
ahead.
have God Beast. We have God
Sure.
Beast now too.
What about the Yimgrall Gene Stealers? 40K. Those heads are straight Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I'll buy that. Okay. See, that's more, I think, and I don't think tentacles are enough. Lots of things in the world have tentacles. The point being is that like lots of the Chaos Gods utilize tentacles, and you see that crap all over the place. That's just demonic, right? This is a different level. Like it has to do with the insanity, the abject horror, the otherworldliness, right? The sort of the like alien geometry, like a color blue that drives you insane, right? Like these are the kind of things I'm talking about, and that's it's deeper than tentacles.
I don't know. Tentacles get you a good way there. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure necessary but not sufficient. How about that? That's what I'll say. All right.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Potentially stuff coming down the road. That's the big news that dropped this week is Deep One Elves, which again is not real surprising from what we had kind of heard later this year. Steam Heads, again, we knew that was dropping next. Skaven stuff was kind of new. What do you guys think that looks like? If we do get a Skaven drop, do you think it's Skyr?
You know, I've guessed on this like 100 times, and I just don't have a good answer for you. Here's my hope. I have no legitimate guess.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
You want it to be a new clan.
New clan. That's my hope. Alex, what about you? If there were to be a new Skaven release, what would you want to see?
Eshin or Molder would be what I would want.
Molder.
God, I would take Eshin over Molder every time, buddy. Give us a new box of like Night Runners that aren't the crappy old monkey rats that we're still dealing with. Yes. Like just make them like the Blood Bowl. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're heading into like the realms of shadow and light at some point, and they talk about the realm of shadow, how it has 13 different continents and everything. That seems to me like it's a rat's nest. So,
that is a super good point. Oh my God, now you've got me excited about an Eshin release. That's it. Alex called it. I'm saying I changed my mind.
You're like,
back at Alex play. Eshin, yes, let's do it. Do it, GW. Give me new crazy ninja elves. How did I not pick ninja rats?
Ninja rats. No, I don't know though. Like, I really want to take an all Molder list to Holy Havoc this year. So I really kind of hope it's Molder. Like, I just want giant rats out the wazoo. Just giant rats everywhere.
No. Pass. No. Hard pass. Kill the clan. Hashtag clan Molder's gotta die. It's too long. All right, whatever.
Okay. Hastings rumors. Rumor engine dropped today.
Yep.
Do you have the image, Vince?
I do. In fact, I've got a couple different versions of this image because somebody in the community was nice enough to not only to take the image to not only color it, but to seemingly orient it the correct way because it looked like it was upside down in the picture. So let me go ahead and bring it up here. Share up my screen. All right, so let's share. Okay, so here's the actual rumor engine photo, which we're obviously like, could we get closer and reveal less?
Yep.
Dear Lord. Okay.
Yep.
This thing is just like, that is so tight in. But anyway, it looks like obviously some kind of like plate amidst armor and probably chain.
Yep.
And, you know, some kind of buckle or something. So then they did this. That's it oriented the seemingly probably correct way and colored, right? So something like the belt, the chain, the cloak, maybe like going up to some kind of shoulder or some piece like that. It's hard to say. But this was their best guess. I mean, who knows? This is so obtuse as to be unguessable, right?
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Come on, GW. This doesn't excite us. This is just like, okay.
Now you're making it too difficult. You went the wrong way. The early ones were too easy. Now we're too hard.
Yep.
That being said, rampant speculation. Tom, what is this? Go. Put your money down.
It's a I actually think the rotation's wrong.
Okay.
I think that orientation, switch it back to the other orientation.
Okay. There you go.
So I think this is actually a shoulder plate. And I think that chain right here that you see where like the rent is, that's going across the chest. And this like little buckle at the top is going over the shoulder. And so I think what you're seeing in the top left is actually the shoulder pad.
Okay, so this is the shoulder pad. This is the cloak, like wrapped around the side of the arm.
Yes.
Going out to the back. All right.
Yes. So I do think that it's the right orientation in that sense, and I think that chainmail is probably on the torso. Now, what does that mean? I don't want this to be true, but maybe an Iron Gut release.
Wow, that's a ridiculous call. All right. I love it.
Like
way to swing for the fences.
Heavy armor, like it has some of the belts and straps that we've seen on some of the other ogre models. Like that looks like if you've ever painted the like the Thunder Tusk, like what's going on with the saddle and some of those spaces. And so and it looks like a hodgepodge of armor. And it's not real well kept up. You can see that with all the dings and the rents. So I'm going with some type of ogre release, probably heavily armored, like Iron Guts or something like that.
Alex, wild speculation. What do you think, buddy?
I think it's some sort of cavalry.
Okay.
But that's just me. But Tom makes a really good point. So I don't know. I'm not very good at this whole guessing game with the rumor engine that they do.
Yeah, because it's impossible. Who is good at this?
Oh, I am awesome at this.
Clearly, Tom knows what he's doing.
I guess, yeah. I think that so I'll go ahead and give my wild speculation.
Yeah.
I do agree with both of you that it's some kind of mount. Like I think we're looking at like a saddle or mount or monster side piece, right? And not an individual human mini. Yes.
Like I don't think this is a dwarf. Let me say that.
No, I don't think so. I think it's some kind of mount thing, but I don't know beyond that. All right, well there we go.
You know what makes me sad? That it's not Forest Goblins.
That it's not. You don't know that.
Oh, I do know that that's not Forest Goblins. I can assure you because there's metal, and there is no metal on any of those Forest Goblin models.
Hey, you don't know what they discovered or looted. I'm just saying. You don't know them.
Boring. Give us the stone tip sticks. That's what I want to see.
Sure. Fair enough.
In this age of high fantasy, I want to see them running around with sharp sticks. Like, give me those guys.
All right, what else we got news-wise?
Okay. AOS 28. We haven't really mentioned AOS 28, but I want to bring it to the forefront. Vince, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So AOS 28 is kind of like a smaller version of it. It's in the vein of a Mordheim type of thing, just to give a point of reference as to what you collect and build. The idea of it, though, on a deeper level than that, what sets it apart is it's about taking out your bits boxes and building sort of more otherworldly kind of horror themed or grittier damaged heroes and monsters and characters for your band, and really just having sort of almost nightmare creations. Like if you could imagine, this is really around a lot of stuff that John Blanche does in his art and has inspired with his art. But if you don't know John's a great artist who's done a lot of stuff. For example, the second edition Sisters of Battle Codex cover, and many other great pieces. But which, by the way, if you ever saw some of his art for early AOS, it was incredible, and I wish that they would have used a couple more of his concepts. But that's neither here nor there. The whole aesthetic of it's a little grimier, a little dirtier, a little more down to earthy. Like for those people who want that more, what do I want to say? Like really grit-tastic feeling of the old world of being down in the muck and the weird and the mutants and the discarded. Like that's almost like things that Flagellants had. The Flagellant kit, if you remember that, is very AOS 28-ish. But the idea is you put together this small warband and it's all in that style. It's cool. I'll link to the resources down below so people can check it out. It's super cool. I've been seeing a lot of people converting warbands, and it's a great chance to just dive into your bits box and go nuts and paint something really unusual. And if you like the small sort of skirmish type takes on it, like Frostgraves and your Mordheims and your stuff like that, it could be something you want to check out. So there you go. That's AOS 28. Back to you, Tom.
Awesome. Talisman seems to be back.
It doesn't seem to be, buddy. It's back.
like they've announced it, which is like a role-playing-esque entry-level board game. We don't know if it's going to be set in the AOS setting or not. One can assume that it probably will be, but we don't know. I want to know what the cell different, like what's the difference here between like Talisman and
Silver Tower.
No, well, Shadows of Harrenhal. And the reason why I say that is because everybody that has gotten their hands and looked at the Shadows of Harrenhal, like the new box for Warhammer Quest, it requires a DM, and it's actually in the format of old school like Hero Quest, like the adventures and everything. So the Shadows of Harrenhal, even though it's compatible with Silver Tower, it's closer to Hero Quest, they're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't require a DM. You just don't, or a GM. You just don't have to have. You don't have to use the orders on the cards. Like, right. So you can play with or without a GM. No.
They said you always have to have a GM. And so what'll happen is that if you choose to someone will always have to be a GM because there are secret things in the book that the GM has to do and has to know about and stuff like that.
Okay, I wasn't aware of
that. But what ends up happening is that if a player wants to, somebody doesn't want to quote unquote GM fully, then somebody has to like play a character and GM is what they said.
Got it.
But it does require somebody piloting. Now you can still use the reaction tables kind of to put the monsters on autopilot, but there is a narrative element that the GM has to be able to step in and interrupt encounters and stuff like that.
Sure. I think it'll be interesting to see where they go with it, because they're going to have to make it stand out in some way, right? So the question is, what are they going to do that?
Yeah. So it's just an interesting move for them. It's surprising because I don't know why they went to Talisman when they have a competing product that's so similar. Like, why not like a Necromunda or something like that?
Probably because it's easy as a board game, right? I mean, that's kind of what it goes down to. Like, it can
be self-contained.
Yeah, it's an easy self-contained thing that they can probably produce using probably existing fig ranges for the most part, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. Okay, so Talisman. The hammer, speaking of Shadows under Hammerhall, I ordered my box this week. Did you guys?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, you're disappointing me. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, I was happy to see. Isn't the Chaos Sorcerer dedicated to Slaanesh in the story there?
Don't ruin it, Vince.
Oh, all right.
Spoilers. Yes, the Sorcerer Lord is actually a devotee of Slaanesh, and is attempting to awaken Slaanesh from his or her deep slumber. So that's actually the kind of the driving story behind what is going on. Sorry if I ruined it for you. You can write your angry letters to vinceventrella@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Please do. Send them along. Especially since that's not actually my email you just said. So I don't know who's going to get those emails, but it won't be me. Sorry to that person. I think that's awesome. I love those hints. Great. Yeah. Silver Tower heralded Tzeentch. Now we got a Slaanesh Sorcerer, maybe heralding a Slaanesh release. We've got a bunch of cults in the cities. Yeah, come later in the year. That's what I'm talking about. Let's just close out the year with a festival of pleasure dedicated to Slaanesh. That's what I say. I don't need it soon. Wait. Pleasure delay. That's what I'm saying. Can't have enough Slaanesh fast enough. Who's with me? Everybody out there in the audience just said yes. You two, you don't seem as hip, the two of you, for a new Slaanesh release. Alex, what are you thinking here?
I'm totally okay with a new Slaanesh release, but the box itself is a sorcerer, the Rotbringers, Acolytes, and Blood Reavers. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's just like the combined nonsense of chaos, right? Like they're just all piling in here.
So according to the lore, for those that did have the resource, what has supposedly happened is that the Slaanesh devotee has gathered the various forces of chaos, probably because the Slaanesh forces, like their resources, are depleted, and so the Slaanesh is depending upon some of the other gods for assistance in these various endeavors, and so it is a little bit of a chaos.
It's undivided. A chaos Captain Planet.
Yeah, it's a Chaos Captain Planet situation.
Their powers combined, Hammerhall shall be theirs. I got it.
Yes.
All right. Well, the problem is they're lacking heart. So that's that which in this case is the horned rat, obviously.
Clearly. Okay. Other news: Slambo returns.
That's right, baby. Slambo's back. This classic Chaos Warrior. He's back. I love it.
I want to know when Moonman shows back up.
Are there any other old? So, Alex, are there any super old models that you're hoping get a new updated sculpt, like they did with Slambo, which is such a weird, out of left field thing? Are there any other classics that you liked that you'd love to see return in that vein?
No, not really. I didn't start playing this game until about 6th edition, so I don't remember a lot of too far back. So, I don't know.
That's fine. I could handle Moonman. I would love to see an updated. I can't believe they haven't done this yet, but like an updated Harry or whatever, the guy who was on the cover of like the first Warhammer edition, like the sort of
Harry the Hammer.
Yeah, Harry the Hammer. Yeah, exactly. Sort of the guy who was that. Like, I can't believe that they haven't. They've had a couple of models of him older in the metal ranges, but they haven't made one of them for a long time. That one seems like a gimme. I can't believe we haven't seen that guy come back.
Yeah,
So.
I could see that. Or like
Sure.
a Grombrand. Oh, wait.
Aww. Swing and a miss.
Oh, wait. Oh.
I just picture somebody looking at like those like boxes of Unforged and being like, I don't know, what are we gonna do? Like they just walk in, there's just a room full of them. They're like, oh, we printed too many of these. Nobody wants these guys. Make him the White Dwarf. Who said that? Jimmy, promotion for you. All right. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate.
Oh, it is unfortunate. And then finally, the Stormcast Battle Tome dropped. I have mine right here in my hand.
You know,
my super sexy.
Good God, Tom. Your limited edition, yes. Lord it over, everyone, Tom. Make the people hate you.
Let me just say, like, I thought it was 300 per region. Ben Johnson confirmed on Twitter today, this is 300 worldwide. That 300. And he was like, those that have them are in a very select and elite club and have a wonderful, beautiful look. And I was like, I agree. Yes, they like. For those that didn't get the limited edition book, you missed it. Like, this thing it was cheaper than any limited edition book they've ever released, and the quality and the color is just off the charts.
Wow, Tom, we want to lord anything else over our viewing audience here?
No, but yeah, sure, why not? No, let me go grab a trophy. No. So I say all that to say, the next time a limited book edition book releases, y'all need to be paying attention.
Do you want more competition, Tom? I thought you wanted to be able to get yours. I hope audience members snake it from you next time and you're not able to get it, and then they all
probably
just
will
put in the comments, oh, so sorry, Tom. I'm looking at my sweet one. That would make me very happy.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen. And it'll be really funny when it does. Like, and they're going to snake like the Spider Fang book from me or something like that.
Yes, something that you've really wanted.
Yes.
There you go. That's that. Now everyone has a mission. Let's make it happen, folks. All right. Did we have any other other news items?
That's all
right. That's fine. We're quiet until we get, I suspect, our dwarf confirmation here pretty soon, right? Like, we're going to go through a 40K phase, obviously, as we get to the Primarch thing.
I give it like a week or two, because we'll be in the middle of dwarves and we'll get our first like leak or something like that.
Sure.
Or middle of 40K when we get that first drop.
I knew what you meant. Yeah, we've got the Rise of the Primarch, which which I will say was a cool video. I love those little videos they do, even they've done a bunch of them for the 40K stuff, and like they show Belisarius Crawl, like, or however you say his name, reactivating this guy, reactivating him. I can't say that name, but it's that guy. Yeah, there you go. It's what they named that paint after, reactivating him, and that was pretty cool. That was a neat video. Look, I'm not going to say it because I'll just say it wrong. I can't say these crazy names.
You mean that French name?
Whatever. I don't know. Sure. It's beyond me, man. I can barely manage Tom. All right. Let's not get trickier than that. That's my limit. I go for 1-2 syllables tops. Keep it easy. All right. So let's turn to some pick of the week. Alex, you're the guest. You get to go first. What would you like to share with the audience? A video, blog, podcast, anything that you would like to share with the audience. And by the way, aggrandizing self-promotion is more than okay.
Do it all the time.
Well, I suppose we can talk about that. I've recently started being the permanent co-host on Garagehammer with Dave Witek. It's something that we've talked about for a few months. I've been co-hosting like a guest appearance last year since Chris is gone. And then we made it official end of January. I didn't think I personally had like the quality to do like a podcast, but I guess I'm doing okay. So we just recorded a new episode last 2 nights. So that'll drop on the 25th. So that'll be Saturday, and it's another book review.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I haven't listened to I think 162 is the most recent, right? Is that right? Or
yeah, until Saturday.
Yes. And but I did listen to the Disciples of Zinchuan, which I think was 161 or whatever, and that was really good. I thought you guys' discussion and various points was very insightful. So if you want to continue and see intelligent people actually dive deep into the Zinch book, unlike what we did last week on the show, check out that podcast. That's what I would say.
Well, I don't know about that. We were up until like 2 or 3 in the morning recording that, and we only had the book for 2 days prior to doing that review. So it was a little rushed, but that's a big book to cover.
It really is.
It's rich with content. You ain't kidding. Yeah. All right. Awesome. If there's anything else you want to share, feel free. But
I'm good on that part.
All right. Very good. Tommy, what about you? What do you got, man? What's your pick of the week?
Well, I clearly have no problems with self-promotion. So last week I had mentioned there was a forthcoming set of blog posts, or there was a forthcoming blog post, and I have not only delivered on that, I am continuing to publish blog posts on my experience of Holy Wars that happened last weekend. Both Alex and myself attended, and I had a blast. I'm sure Alex.
Yeah.
Reflections. Yeah. Good. Yeah. It was fantastic. And so I walk through kind of general experiences in my army. In the first post, I'm doing a series of like part 2s that are all the different tables. I have the first 10 tables, and with all the scenarios detailed with photos. And then I detailed, I did a game on Friday night with Kenny Lowell of the Combat Phase podcast, helping Kenny get to his 100 games of pure Fire Slayers. We tested out the new points. And for those that were following on Twitter, you saw some of the exchanges from that game. And so what I've done is I've done a mini battle report of that as well. Just kind of mostly just a handful of photos, some brief narration of what happened. And all of that is on TGA. So if you guys want to check it out, feel free to do that. So it went well.
Very nice. Excellent. So my pick of the week is very simple, but I think pretty fun. And I'm just grabbing the thing here. So James of Star Mini Gaming recently threw up a video about where to begin with the Death Grand Alliance. There's been a lot of talk about Death, and is Death bad or too good because of Tomb Kings, or worse without Tomb Kings, and all this is. There's a lot of internet hay being made about Death, and obviously James loves Death from way back. So I thought he had a nice little discussion. It's a relatively short, just good 18 minutes, good introduction to the Death Grand Alliance. And so if you're a newer player and wanting to get started with Death, it can be a great little resource as he walks you through sort of the basics of it. So check it out. That's my pick. All right. So let's turn to some hobby time. So I think for all three of us, Adepticon approaches quickly, which has probably meant different things for each of us. But I'm sure there's some hobby related things all relating to that. But Alex, what have you been working on, man? I imagine right now you don't have much time on the table, but what have you been working on?
Well, obviously we've been adding terrain for Adepticon this year. We've got quite a number of kits that we've been updating, and then we've been adding some new terrain, larger line of sight blocking type terrain. Because our boards right now are pretty flat. They're not as involved or as intricate. So we are trying to make them more interesting. Then, I mean, like personally, I'm just trying to wrap up projects and get everything rebased. I just painted a Griffhound before I came on here.
Nice.
Trying to paint 100% of the miniatures I own is a very tall order. Oh, come on.
No, I gave that up a long time ago.
That's because for Tom, it is a physical impossibility. He couldn't do it. There's not, like, literally, if he started painting now and stopped when he died, he wouldn't achieve 100%. And that's assuming he buys nothing else.
That's
So, there you go.
It's a good challenge. I don't like the concept of having models that I'm not using because I only play with painted miniatures.
Right.
So I really want to get all my stuff painted so I can actually like play with it because that's a weird concept. But I don't know. It's only 183. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, you say that, but it feels a lot worse. So there's that, and then just getting everything ready for Adepticon. We've been we're kind of in the coast phase right now because all the stuff's getting to the printers. Everything's being made right now, so there's not too much I have to do on that end right now because most of it's been done already.
Awesome. I think this is going to be an Adepticon to remember. Let me just say that. I think this is going to be like a banner year between everybody that's coming. And if you're not going to Adepticon, what's the matter with you? Get out there.
Well, thanks for spoiling it, Vince. But I'll formally announce I'm going to Adepticon. Like, I'm going to actually be there, folks.
Wow. Well, it's good that you announced it for everybody.
Well, hey, you've been bothering me for like how long now?
A long time. Months telling you to go.
Months and months. And I will actually be there. I finally got everything lined up to go. And Alex said that more spots would open in the Grand GT. So, right? Yes? No? No. Okay, never mind. I guess I am on a wait list. Maybe
all of our halls are filled to capacity. We don't have any more tables to set up.
Okay. So I'm going. So maybe look me up. Maybe we'll play some games.
There you go. Plenty to do and see. And look, yeah, just, somebody will probably drop. You just take that spot. Better go ahead and get on the wait list there. There you go.
I'm on a wait list. We'll see if it opens up.
There you go. For myself, my hobby time, I decided to do a little speed paint on some flamers. Those were fun. Little flamers of Zinch there that I had, the old style ones. And so we're going to make a little video on how to speed paint with washes and inks. So that'll go up this weekend. And but then also that's to cleanse my palette in between probably maybe one more piece I want to do for Crystal Brush for Adepticon. And beyond that, then we're just intermingling some Zinch stuff as well. I've got this little guy put together, my little Zangor Shaman. His disc isn't under him obviously yet, but Shaman on disc. So that'll be a fun thing to do. A couple of different projects here. Much things. Finished up the Changeling. That guy was sweet. Very fun to paint. He is super big. Bigger than I thought. That Changeling fig is like the size of an ogre. He's big. He's like Ushabti big. So very, very cool fig. All right. So let's see. As always, we want to know what you're working on. Throw that down in the comments. What are you painting while this is happening? Because as always, we hope that we're helping you fight the war against the gray to get to that 100% painted or a higher percentage painted, even if you can't get 100. Higher is still better. That's what I say. All right. So let's jump right into the main segment. So let's talk about TOs. So Alex, obviously, we're coming to you because you've been doing Adepticon for a couple years. You run some big tournaments. This is the biggest. So I thought there's probably a lot of people out there, very seriously, who want to build up the Age of Sigmar tournament scene, right? Now, most of them aren't going to jump into running 100+ person tournaments, but maybe they want to run, a one day, right, at a local store or something like that. And I think that's a good place to start. It's probably better not to jump into something like huge. But I thought we'd start out just how did you get started into running tournaments? Like, how did you get that mantle? How did you become TO extraordinaire?
Well, this started a few years ago when I first really got into the game. I made good friends with a wonderful gentleman you guys may or may not know, Marty Gaska. For those that are not familiar with him, he was the actual TO of Adepticon before I took over. And I learned how to do things from him, spending time with him. And ironically enough, I had a really bad experience at Adepticon in the 7th edition championship, where I just got absolutely bowled over playing against a very unfun Khorne Demon army. So I decided to run my own one-day tournament with a little bit of help, and that's really kind of where it started for me. It was called Core Competency. It would put in the minimum percentage of core troops before the 8th edition came out and put in that percentage. So this is a much higher percentage. It was 40% of your army had to be core. So a lot of models, a lot of just having fun with the game, and we had about 30 people that first year, and then it just kind of took off from there. Started helping Marty run events at Adepticon instead of playing in them, and then right at the end of 7th, he decided he was going to take a step back, and he asked me to take it from there. So that's where it got started.
So how many years now? What year will this be for you with Adepticon?
As the chief cook and bottle washer, let's see, this will be year 2 of AOS. We did 4 or 5 years of 8th edition, so 6 or 7 years. This has been my baby.
Wow. Is this the largest that it's ever been?
No, not yet. We're close. The largest 8th edition tournament we ran was over 150. So we're right there within striking distance, realistically, within the next year or two, that we can hit that number again. And
well, how awesome is that? Like, this is a brand new game.
Yeah. And last year we had 40 for the championship, and this year we're already up to 120, so we're at triple from last year. The team tournament is over triple. And I think it just shows the great strength of this community, the people involved that really want to make this happen and take it to that next level. So it's more a testament to them than I think anything I could claim responsibility for.
I mean, that being said, I think you ran, obviously I didn't play last year, but I was there the whole time. I watched a lot of games. And I think you ran a great tournament for how nascent everything was. I mean, let's not underestimate what's going on. You didn't have any general's handbook or anything like that. So you were freewheeling on a lot of this. You had to construct a lot of this tournament, sort of scaffolding last year, and using some elements of existing kind of player made comps and your own scenarios and stuff like that. And I thought it went really well. Like, everybody seemed really positive about it. Everybody was laughing, happy, had a great time, seemed to play 5 good games over the 2 days. Everybody played in the 2-day. So I have no doubts this year's going to surpass and be even better. All right. So let me ask you this question, because I'm sure that for those people who want to start, there's a bunch of easy pitfalls to get into. So what were the sort of like traps, the pitfalls, the maybe the things you would not do if you were doing it again, right? If you were starting over,
Yeah.
What were the missteps?
I think the biggest misstep is I didn't have the fact checkers and the people that read my packets now. I didn't have that back then, to make sure that the wording was correctly, and even simple things like putting in a spot for your name, because people forget that. My wife she's the real person that does things with Adepticon. I'm just the not so pretty face. She does all the scoring. She does all of the checking to make sure my packets look okay. I didn't have that for the first couple years that I ran tournaments, and I really wish I did. And then when we started running Adepticon, she picked up right there, and that made a huge difference for me as a TO. I think just in the quality of the jobs that I was doing. So definitely, if I had to do it all over again, it would have been get someone to help me do it. You can't do this on your own. I mean, you can be a TO, but you still need someone to fact check your work and make sure it looks good. And I didn't have that right away. And I think the other big thing is just to make sure you halfway decent people skills. I wasn't, like, at the time I started running tournaments, I wasn't super social. I had a hard time with like social cues. I didn't have a particularly good childhood or adolescence, so I was kind of lacking in that department. But I definitely grew up playing and running tournaments, so that you need to have the right people skills, because you're going to run into a lot of very weird situations when you're a TO. If it's people that are coming in late because their flight are delayed, so it's how can we make an accommodation to you so you can still play, and I don't have to say, oh, well, you can't play, especially for a full tournament, or we have no one that's on a ringer. It's like, okay, so now we have to talk to them, make sure that they're going to be ready to go, get a ringer put together. So it's just, you have to understand, I don't know, you have to be flexible and willing to work with people and understand where they're coming from, because they're coming to your event. You're essentially like, the wedding planner, as it were. So you have to be accommodating to them, and that is a different mentality than a lot of people. And that wasn't where I was when I started. It was very much this is my show, and you're here, and you're going to play the game. And that's the end of it. It's not, you can't do it that way. So, I don't know.
Nice. Those are two really good pieces of advice, because I think that the idea of a second set of eyes, I totally get that. When you're writing stuff, that is what Tom usually is for me. Whenever we design anything, write anything rules wise, Tom is my second set of eyes. So I can totally see
write something, and I'll be like, this doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
It's invaluable because you don't see it in your own stuff. Whenever you make something, you understand in your head how it's supposed to work, right? And so that you need somebody who's coming to it, not knowing, not having your own preconceived notions. I think that's really good advice. Even if it's just getting somebody else who's familiar with the game to read your scenario pack that you make or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I like that. That is a great piece of advice. All right. So you've been doing Adepticon for a while, as well as other tournaments. So what is I thought it'd be fun to do like a maybe best, and I won't push you for it, but if you've got a worst memory as a TO where you can change the names to protect the innocent or not so innocent, as it were, that's fine too. But certainly at least your best memory as a TO, and then I'll let you decide whether or not you want to do the other one.
Sure. So I think the best memory for me, one of the other tournaments I was running for a while in 8th edition was Screw City, which was done out here. Like 3,000 points. You had to take a monster. We let in Monstrous Arcanum, just to do a fun, different event. We had about 60-ish players that year, and our friendly local game store owner, he has seizures, and he has a dog that lets him know that he's going to have a seizure. Dog curls up next to him and starts whining, so Andrew knows to get to a safe place. The dog got into some trouble chasing a squirrel, because that's what border collies do.
Sure.
So the dog ended up tearing pretty extensively up his left leg, to the point that he couldn't really walk or do his job or anything like that. So every year we had sponsored a charity, and it wasn't them, at least to their knowledge. We switched it at the event because the dog needed surgery and they didn't have the money for it. So with the money we raised, we were able to pay for Duncan to have his surgery. And that it makes a world of difference when you find the right thing to support and put money for. And I think that was the biggest one. There was not a dry eye in the house when we handed them the check, because this is not a cheap surgery. This was like $2,500, $3,000, which most people can't afford to spend on a dog. Most of the time you're looking at putting the animal down, which is terrible, but Duncan to this family means more than he's just a pet. He's how Andrew makes it through his day. So yeah, there was not a dry eye in the house. We had the actual dog there, and Andrew had a seizure that morning, so he couldn't be with us. But his wife was there, and I've never seen her cry to begin with. And yeah, I think that was probably one of the best moments I've had as a TO, is just to actually make a difference. It's not about being a tournament organizer or running a great event. It's about doing something that actually changes somebody's life, which, I don't know, I kind of chalk that up as a TO, but I don't know. The thing is, I have a hard time pinpointing a greatest moment, simply because for me, getting everybody together, playing games, having fun, laughing, that's the biggest reward out of it. So, I don't know.
Well, I will say, I think that's incredible. Like that to me seems like a very worthy best moment. And I get it. I don't know how you would do this as long as you have been if you didn't love it and love the community aspect of it and bringing everybody together. And let's not kid ourselves. Like, it's easy to write this off as playing with plastic toys and stuff like that. And certainly it is, and it's a bit of fun and it's a game. But we've talked many times on this show and in related videos that this hobby does actually matter too at a deeper level, or it can, right? It means something in all of our lives. We dedicate hundreds of hours to it, thousands of hours to it in a year, maybe, right? Like, depending. And those moments where we all get together at these tournaments, where we all get to share those laughs and talk and catch up. Like, I don't get to see many of the people who I will see at Adepticon any other time but Adepticon, right? Like, that's off for a lot of these people. That's the once a year I get to see them. That's like, I don't know that there's anything honestly too much more important than that. Like, if I'm old, like when I'm sitting on my deathbed looking back, I'm not going to think, boy, I wish I did more paperwork, or I wish, or crap like that, right? I think, man, I wish I had better times and more laughs with my friends and stuff like that. Like, that is the meat of life, right? And the fact that you then combined that with doing something so awesome for somebody so clearly deserving, I don't think it could get better than that. I think you just blew me away. Like, I expected like a story about a good roll or something like that. And
you're going to remember the good rolls. You're going to remember the bad ones. You're going to remember Alariel dying to a deadly river, rolling a 1 and then re-rolling it and still getting the 1.
Sorry, Andrea.
But,
yes, indeed. Sorry, Andrea.
Yeah, I was standing right there and I looked at her and I'm like, I'm sorry. And then I walked away, because it's usually like the TO jinx. The TO comes over to look at something serious. It goes completely south. And you just look at it and it's like, damn it, that was me. That was me.
Sometimes you got to roll the hard 6. She tried to play hard.
Or the hard 1 twice.
Yeah.
I can't believe she rolled that twice. Yeah. Ignoble death for poor Alariel.
But you're going to remember the significant things you did, especially since so many of our events are focused on charities and doing good things for the community. I think that's what sticks out to me more than, oh, I should have, done this at that tournament and rolled this differently. It's like, no, we changed a life. We did something right and positive for the community. I think that speaks to me more.
Well said, sir. I support that answer 1,000%, if that's even possible. I'm totally down with that. All right, so let's talk about Adepticon this year. Let's get into the specifics of it.
Sure.
So now you create your own scenarios, right? For the GT. We're not talking out of the box GHB scenarios here for the 2-day. So, and I know you don't. You keep those under wraps until the day of the tourney. So I'm not going to try to pry or anything like that, but just kind of share what your hopes are, what the events are. Let's start with like the various events that are going on. Sure. And what your hopes are for the events, that kind of stuff.
So last year we just did the team tournament and we just did the championship. We weren't really sure where our numbers were at for people wanting to play this game, since it was so new and not everyone had a positive attitude about it. Fortunately, that has since changed. And based on the success of last year, the organizers above me said, all right, it's on you. So if you want it, do it. So we brought back the 1Ks. So that's 2 separate tournaments, 3 rounds each, 1,000 points handbook. And this is all handbook type comp stuff for people that are following along at home. So it's 1,000 points, and they run on alternating schedules. So you can play 3 games in the morning and early afternoon, and then another 3 games in the later afternoon and evening. So depending on what your schedule is, if you sign up for another seminar, if you're not getting in until late, depending on obviously work life and other things, so we can still get in games of AOS, but if you're going to be there the whole day, you could potentially play 6 games of AOS in one day, that's a lot for some people.
That is
a lot of games. So we have that. We have 40 spots in each of those. The PM sold out. Then the AM, I think, has about 10 spots left. So doing pretty good in that regard. And then opposite to that, we have the War Host, which is 3 rounds, 2,500 points using that comp schematic. And I've not seen a 2,500 point tournament pop up on the radar. I mean, like Holy Wars had you bring 2,500 points, you play 2K, but this is like a pure 2,500.
Let me just say that needs to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Like have a sideboard, bring 25, play 2K, so you can move your list around. Like, talk about really messing with all these skew lists and all these dominating lists. Like, if you can sideboard things that are like hard counters to that kind of stuff, like the game gets a lot more interesting.
To a point. I don't know. I'm kind of going with the formula that we've been using. I just don't want to do something that's the same across the board. I mean, like the scenario with over the weekend where people could take the hard counters to what I was doing, not everyone has equal access to that. So it just kind of depends. Because like Order doesn't get any super bonus against Chaos, but Dark Avenger, forget that, you know.
Right.
But
well, I mean, Order does get the dwarf that does double damage, and like so like there are a handful of like really strong Order counters to Chaos.
Yeah.
Like Chameleon Kings are doing 3 damage to Chaos Demons. Like there would be a handful of things like that. But anyways, yes, you are right. Like they are unevenly distributed. That's certainly true.
Yeah. And I don't know. But anyway, we're getting a little away from it. But it's 2,500 points. Yeah. Bring your army, and come play big games because we don't get to do that too often. And then Friday is the team tournament, so it's 2 1,000 point armies put together. They don't have to be the same Grand Alliance. Obviously, you get a lot more synergy if you are. But I didn't want to limit people's creativity. Because if you look in the background, you see a lot of instances where it's Neferata fighting alongside the Anvils of the Heldenhammer. You can't do that in a straight-up match play type game. But I didn't want to put a shackle on somebody's creativity that way. So we have that going on. That's 80 spots, and I think we have about 12-ish left. So it's nice to see that. The team event is my favorite event of the weekend. It's the only one I'm allowed to play in. So makes a big difference. That's a personal favorite for me. And then obviously we have the championship on Saturday and Sunday. So if you play the weekend, it's 5 games, 2,000 points. We also have a 1-day option for those that can't commit to the 2 days. If they have to travel for obviously getting back home, you can play in Saturday only as well. But that event is sold out. So
even the one
for both, it's gone.
Very good.
So we get drops, of course, which we usually do, just by nature of either alcohol or things coming up. So
120 people, that's a big number. Just life happens, right? You're going to get probably a few. Just not anybody because they don't want to play, just because unfortunately things come up. But so here's my question. So you're playing in the team on Friday, right? Mm-hmm. So who's your partner? Have you shared, like, who's your partner, and do you know what you're bringing yet?
Yeah, I'm going to be partnering with John Wenger. So at Frozen Dark Elf on Twitter for those. He's relatively new to the Twitter scene, but he's one of my best friends. We've done the team tournament before. Sorry for all the noise. That's the dog. She's kind of squiggling behind me.
Oh, you're fine.
But in any event, so we're doing Devoted of Sigmar and Darkling Coven.
Nice.
So
yes. What? Yeah. Oh, you just became my favorite.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I was actually looking at that exact pairing this evening. I would love to talk to you about that.
I will verify that he was, because I can verify for our audience. Tom is not making this up. He was spamming me with texts about this nonsense before the show, and I was like, "Shouldn't you be getting the news ready? You're sending me devoted of Sigmar texts." That's fantastic. I love that. So very, very cool.
John and I, we're not playing to be super competitive. We're playing to have fun, because that's what we're about when it comes to this. So he's doing nothing but Darkling Coven. I have nothing but Devoted. So that's 70 Flagellants plus whatever else. So, yeah,
Yep.
I love that kit, but damn it, I'm tired of them.
We need the Devoted release. Hashtag
So it sounds like
release
you're
the
not
Devoted.
doing the warband.
No, I want to put bodies on the table.
Yeah.
And I have 70 of these things painted, and for me to play the battalion, it would
can only
be
put 50
of them.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not like I haven't done the math. Clearly, you've done it too. But no, and then John's doing a bunch of the Darkling stuff, and I think he's got a big unit of Executioners.
Yes, he does. I'm sure he does, because that's the right formula.
Yeah. So, but we're just playing for fun and for laughs, and we didn't take ourselves super seriously last year with Stormcast and Dark Elves. Somehow we got Best Order General, because apparently 1 and 2 is how you do that. So, I mean, we'll take it. We're just looking to have a good time, and that's really all it's about. I know some people are going for like the high level competition and everything. I'm just damn happy to see everybody, like we talked about earlier, and actually being able to play a game, which is really kind of a weird concept for a TO to actually play a game. Like, one of the jokes I heard when I first got started was, the people that don't play run. So I try not to do that. So anybody that helps me with a tournament or anything like that, I force them to take a day off and play, or spend a day not working. So this way they're not just stuck in that room all weekend watching other people play. That's not fun at all.
I like it. It's a good attitude overall. So we know what's going on then with Adepticon. Let's talk about your kind of hopes going forward. Not just with Adepticon, although you can also talk about that specifically, but the tourney scene for AOS. I think that what you just shared, talking about the year-over-year growth, like, that's obviously explosive and amazing. I think that that's bigger than most, but I think there is definitely a growing tournament scene here, right? I think that that's probably not even up for debate, to be honest. So where are you hoping that the tournament scene goes? Where are you hoping Adepticon goes in the future? That kind of thing. And here's a fun question that I really do want to put a pin on. How can the community help you? Because a lot of this is resting on your shoulders. This is like 5 distinct events you're basically in charge of at Adepticon. That's a lot. Now, I know you've got some help, but like, I think that a lot of us would be interested to know, how can we help you more? So kind of maybe cover all those in whatever order you'd like.
Sure. You're absolutely right. With regards to the needs from the community, if I had to put a pin on it, I need people that are willing to help and to take a day or two and contribute the day of the event. Because, to be perfectly honest, for some of them, it's me and my wife. That's it. So Alex has to organize, paint judge, rules judge, run interference between the players and turning in sheets, making sure sheets are turned in correctly. It's a lot to ask day of. Like, prior to the event, it's people being willing to make terrain and paint it. We're certainly willing to provide and stuff, but it's a lot of work. I understand that not everyone can commit to what we commit to, but just to help where you can. If it means taking a day to help run an event, I mean, obviously I don't let you leave without some sort of thank you, whether it's assistance for being at the con or anything like that. So, I mean, it's just people being willing to volunteer and sit one out, which is a tough thing to ask, because you're at the largest tournament in the country, hemisphere, continent, whatever you want to go with. It's a lot to ask for someone to sit. So that's the biggest thing, is people need to be willing to volunteer. And because the more staff I have, the more we can make these events bigger, because we can get up to 160, 200 players. I think the game is going to head in that direction, but I can only handle so much with the people I don't have. So it's being willing to volunteer and being willing to help.
So may I jump in here?
Go ahead.
And say Alex's Twitter is down below in the description. Is it okay if people reach out to you, tweet at you if they're willing to help? Is that an okay thing to ask people to do?
Yeah, that, or they can email volunteer@adepticon.org. Say you're interested in helping whatever day in the Age of Sigmar event. And if they give you any sort of attitude, let them know to talk to me, and I will happily take any help I can get. And it doesn't matter if you're not like some high qualified paint judge, or if you've never helped at a tournament before. I will give you a job to do, and everything will be fine. Even if it's just something as simple as making sure that everything is filled out on the list, because that takes time. If it's checking army lists, that takes time. If it's just walking around, making sure that the room doesn't smell, that takes time. So any little bit, realistically.
Well, the good news, Alex, apparently I'm not actually playing in the GT.
Yeah.
So I may be available to help out if you need a hand on Saturday, Sunday.
I wouldn't say no. You might look okay in a red shirt.
It might, so that may happen. We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah, because that sexy yellow highlighter shirt, that's mine.
I'll take red. I'll be a red shirt. I'll be that
Absolutely,
guy.
yeah, the first to die.
Hey, I'm a red shirt on this show every week.
There you go. I will put the email down there as well for the volunteer. So do reach out if you've got the time. If you're interested to help out, shoot a note. That'd be fantastic. All right, very good. So let's talk in general. Where are you hoping to see it grow? What are you hoping to see? Tourney scene, could be specifically for Adepticon or other tournaments in the area. There's a lot that you're involved in, but just tournament scene in general.
I think we need to be willing to play different types of games, different styles. I personally think we would benefit from having more narrative type events. Like Holy Wars is trying to do it, and they're doing very well with it. I think they could take it a more narrative direction than what they have. I hope Holy Havoc lives up to that expectation, because it sounds like Herner's heading in that direction. It's just, I don't want everyone just to do the same thing all over the place. We need to experiment. We need to figure out what works, what doesn't work. I'm personally working on a AOS-friendly format. So this way it's not just, I'm going to take the broke as joke stuff. I'm going to take the stuff that I think looks cool, even though if it's not super optimal. Like I have a goblin army waiting in my closet that is not particularly good on the tabletop, but I don't care. I love playing it.
Hey,
so I want to make sure we have an environment where people can come, because there's no bad models in Age of Sigmar except for Snotlings. I think that is the definitive turd in this whole thing is the Snotling, but otherwise, okay, it's supposed to be the Snotling, let's be honest here.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't see a lot of the models that people love on the table because they're, quote, not good. So,
hey, I took the list that I did at Holy Havoc this year because of aesthetics. I actually didn't take it because of power. Now, I did surprisingly well.
Sorry, Havoc or Holy Wars?
I'm sorry, at Holy Wars, not Havoc. Havoc
okay, Holy Wars, I'll let you have that one. Havoc, yeah. I got no.
Havoc was broke. That was just filth. Havoc was filth. No, but I was running like a terrible tier 3 list this year, and I did fairly well. But like I had a War Shrine on my board, because I was gonna add another thing of Blight Kings, and I was like, nope, they don't I don't have anything big and flashy, so I was like, nope, Blight Kings are coming off. Putting on the War Shrine. So yeah, that would be neat to have an event that tier 1 lists need not apply, or at least that there be some flexibility or something that's a little bit more friendly.
Yeah, and I mean 40K does it with their events, and granted, some people have said that 40K friendly is not particularly friendly, but it doesn't matter. We need to encourage a wide variety of events and get behind when people try new things. So I'd love to see more narrative events like Realms at War. That was probably the biggest tournament that I followed on Twitter, like the whole day. It's like, where are the pictures? Where are the pictures? Because that's what I like, even though I run like the largest, most competitive tournament in the U.S. So, I do it for the people. I don't do it for the competition.
So that leads right into my next question, which is, what are the crazy ideas? Let's throw some spaghetti at the wall here. Assume that budget and time and people were not a constraint for you, okay? So you don't have to worry. We can clone as many Alex helpers as we want to do whatever you need. What are the crazy ideas you would love to try in tournaments? And they could run the gamut from like, maybe possible if I had one other or two other people helping me too, just never going to happen, but it would be super cool. Like whatever you like along that span. What kind of wacky ideas do you have or you'd always like to give a shot to?
I'd like to do a full-on campaign style tournament where it's more flexible, and where people take themed armies where I give you an assignment of what you're supposed to take.
Ooh.
And then your job is to be that character. You own that. You have to do what this character would do. So a little more of the role-playing aspect, but I would love to see that on completely themed boards for the narrative. Not just like the quality of the boards that Steve does, but if everyone's playing on the Azir tables, like it's, you know, a war in Azir or something like that, where everyone gets to do that kind of board or that kind of theme. I think that would be interesting to me, or something that we have done previous years, the General's Challenge, which is you get handed an army of models that you don't or may not be familiar with. Just pure, like we had an army for every army book in 8th edition, and you pulled the army that you were going to play out of the hat.
That's awesome.
After you got paired up with your opponent, it was just to figure out who could do the most with whatever they got. And that was a big hoot for me, but there's just so much variety in AOS now. So it's just trying to come up with that kind of variety and lists. Hang on, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Hey, Vince, between our two collections, we could run a tournament like that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, indeed. I love that idea. That is freaking amazing, because to me, and this is admittedly a completely personal thing, and I don't expect that this would be true across the board. But for me, I love the experience on the table and the challenge of trying to sort of figure out the play there. The list building aspect of it is honestly less compelling to me. I've never found much joy in sharpening the knife of like an ultra super fine list. What I take the sort of greatest pleasure in is the sort of the back and forth on the table itself, regardless of what models it is. I don't really care. I just want to enjoy what I'm playing with. You know what I mean? Just like whatever figs you give me. And as you said, with AOS, basically there's nothing that's flat out bad, right? For most things, they can have roles, they can do stuff, they can accomplish things on the table if used well. So it's really that is the dream for me. Let me tell you what, that type of an event, you ever run that again, man, which put me down as person number one signing up for that. I am in like Flynn, okay? Because army out of a hat, yes, please. First of all, shorten my pre-work to none. Yes, thumbs up to that. I'll show up and you're playing this. Great, awesome. What is it? Give me 5 minutes to read the list. Let's rock and roll. That's amazing. That's a super great idea. Any other crazy things you'd want to try?
No, I mean, I'd like to see. I mean, I've not been following AOS 28 super much. But just that concept of doing like warband type event, I think that would be something neat to add at some point, just for like those small, heavily converted thematic forces. So like people can let their creative side out as opposed to pinning up whole armies. So there's a lot that we can do with this game. GW's given us the blueprint, and we have to make it something.
I agree. I've been saying since the beginning that the great strength of this is that the foundation is simple, but ultimately incredibly dynamic, right? We can build so much on top of this foundation. And I think that there's exactly what you said. I think it's up to us to sort of bolt on the things that we want to see and we want to enjoy and see how people react. And the reality is, I think that you're not alone at all. I think there's a huge swath of those narrative players out there who would love to come out for that kind of a thing. Is it as many? Are you going to get, 150 person tournament? Maybe not, but who cares, right? Because those people who do show up, that's what they've been really wanting, right? There's an intensity to it that isn't being served. And you can still have the big competitive thing. That's the point. The point is not to have one right answer, right? The point is we can do all these things. and a setting like Adepticon is an amazing place for that, because there's already so many people there. It's such a big draw already. You've got the space. You can have the smaller tournaments mixed amongst the larger and that kind of thing. So I think you personally, I don't want to put too much on your shoulders here, certainly, but honestly, you're sort of leading the experimentation, right? You could, because you've got one of the best cauldrons to work in, as opposed to a weekend where it is just the tournament, and that's the only reason that everybody shows up in a remote location to do just that thing, right? There's so much else going on here that people could show up for one small event, but then also partake in everything else and feel like they got a full weekend out of it nonetheless. So yeah, I think that presents a neat opportunity. I think basically like Adepticon and Nova to me are the two big ones where I think we can really push the envelope, because there's so much else going on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, Nova last year obviously did the big, I don't know if you saw what they did there, but they did the big narrative event where they had like the war councils in between, with like people meeting in between games to talk, like to plan and plot and have the next steps in the next games, you know, that kind of stuff. Just super cool. And I love people pushing the envelope like that. And you know, but then they also had a competitive standard sort of 2-day match play, or, you know, match play type of thing going on. Great. Perfect. Awesome. Everybody, you know, plenty of fun.
So, Alex, is that something that you could ever see at Adepticon? Is some type of narrative thing? Like, I know that that's not something that you could necessarily like pilot.
How do you know that?
Well, I say that just simply because you already have like 7 things you're piloting.
Yes, I don't think he meant capable. I think he meant time. That's
time. Like
Time.
You're already juggling.
But no, it's something we do have a small narrative AOS event actually going on one of the nights. It's only like a 4-player sign up, which was the biggest limiter. So we do have something there, and I think Adepticon can accommodate a venue or an event like that. It's just people getting the time to do it and being willing to come up with something off the wall and getting people to show up. So I think it's definitely a good place to do it, especially with all the other mega battles that they do there or different things. I mean, if they played War Master last year using 8th ed models and you put 16 giants on a table or something like that, that's what it can be, and it's a good venue for it because there's so much there.
Do you think that there's space in there for like another 30-man event, like a multi-day 30-man narrative event?
Potentially. It just depends on the demand.
Yeah.
And having someone willing to do it, because I mean, my time is between multiple events, and I'm not even TO for all of them, but I still have to oversee all of them. So just kind of taking it, and I'm definitely open. If people want to try something, talk to me. Let's do it.
I love it. There you go. Reach out. We can make it happen, folks. Be the community you want to see in the world. Be the tournament you want to see in the world. I love it. All right. So I think as we bring it to a close here, I think my question is, I want to turn it over to you, Alex. Anything else you want to say, share about this or any other upcoming events, or just general thoughts?
Let's see. What I'm trying to push for Adepticon, like the Twitch has always shown the top table at any of the events that they've covered. I don't particularly like that. When Ohio Hammer was covering it previous editions, I didn't put the camera on top table. I put it on table 7 because I didn't want it just to be, you know, the best of the best. So what we're going to try to do this year is have it be the coolest looking armies playing each other, the coolest thematic looking matchups. So this way it showcases more than just the competitive nature of this, but shows the game on a grander scale than just, oh, it's whoever's, you know, got the nastiest thing is going to be on the camera all day. This shouldn't be about that. This should be an every man or woman type hobby and type game. So look for that to be at Adepticon, where it's not just going to be the guys on the top table all the time. This is going to be everybody could be on the camera and just having fun, which is what this game is really about at the end of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't know how we got this far into it without neglecting that, but obviously, yes, we've got the Twitch coverage this year because do you want to, like, obviously GW is going to have a lot of people there and there's some involvement with that. Do you want to take a moment and talk about kind of where they're fitting into the equation?
Well, they reached out to us as far as wanting to come out and give it the coverage that they've been doing, since we are one of the largest and now the largest for Age of Sigmar, and then also 40K. I mean, there's a ton of stuff going on at Adepticon that's workshop related. We have the Super Bowl, so that's going to be Blood Bowl, and they'll be using the new Blood Bowl rules and everything like that, so they can cover all of their bases. But we're going to be doing a live broadcast. Rob and Eddie are coming, so there's a lot of stuff going on. All the seminars that they're doing. It's just the response of workshop this year from years past has been a complete 180. I mean, when I got started with this back in 6th and 7th edition, they were there. They weren't like super there. They had a Forge World booth. You got a event only model, but nothing like this. And it's just so refreshing to see and to actually get to meet these guys. I mean, I've talked to a few of them, but to actually like get to meet them face to face and hopefully play against them. Probably not do so well, but still. So it's a big deal for them to come out and to really show the support for the community, even if it's not a official GW sanctioned event like some of the other ones that they've done.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And obviously they're all, just great guys, and the new outreach, the community involvement, that kind of thing. I think it's going to be yet another reason why this year is going to be a banner year. And I'm hoping here, I'm honestly hoping that this is a signal of even greater things to come. You know what I mean? I think that, to me, this is going to be the first year where we see it as what it should be, right? The number of people, the way we're participating in different types and sizes of events, the participation from GW. I'm kind of looking at all of these things rolling into one, right? And it's showing you now where it could be, where it could go as it continues to really grow and blossom as this full-fledged thing again, after kind of maybe a few waning years or some tough times, some dry times, let's say. So yeah, very exciting.
End times, let's say.
Oh, I like it.
It was bad. Like, I remember when we did the last year of 8th with the End Times release, and we let that into the events, and it's just the attitude was so not good, and the numbers were not good, and it was kind of like, is this really where we're gonna go? And then AOS comes out, people got a negative attitude about it and all that stuff. But after last year, it was kind of like, we can make this work. This is something that we can do regardless. And for it to come as far as it has in a year, I don't know. There are no words.
I love it. I can't think of anything better to wrap up on. So what I'll say is, Alex, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you coming on the show. Loved having you. Looking forward to meeting up with you, hanging out with you at Adepticon. I know you're not going to have a whole lot of free time. As I said, once again, both check out Alex's Twitter and the volunteer email down below. If you can give a hand, if you want to do your part, reach out and do that. Obviously, both Tom and I will be there. Lots of people are going to be there. If you see us around, don't walk up, say hi. Always love that. Love to meet everybody. Like I said, this is often the one chance, and that's just like Alex said. It's the community and it's the meeting everybody and having a good time that makes this all worth it. So I could not be more excited. Tommy, any closing thoughts from you, sir?
No. This, like, my plans have just changed in this meeting, and that's not a problem. Like, I look at that and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of excited by this. Like, being able to walk around and just engage people and watch games and like, you're going to curse
yourself to definitely get a spot open up on the
way. Like, it's funny because there's a burden to going to tournaments and playing and preparing and getting in that mental headspace and refining that list, as Vince knows, as I'm spamming him with messages of like, this is what I'm thinking, and then like, how about this? But if I don't have to do any of that for the next 4 weeks, like, there's some freedom in that. So yeah, I'm excited.
Still bring an army, still be ready to go. But I mean, I don't know. And that's, I think, the biggest thing I've always told people when you come to Adepticon, don't just do tournaments all 4 days. There's so much more to see than just the tournaments. And it's not just Age of Sigmar. So walk around, check it out. I always make the time to do it every year, even if it's for 20 minutes or so, just to go wander around the vendor hall and waste a lot of money. So
There you go. Yeah, last year they had a you mentioned like the War Master game with normal AOS figs. They had an epic Armageddon or whatever game, the game that's normally played with 6mm 40K figs. They did that with full-size Titans. So
Yeah.
it was like 30 feet by 20 feet was the board or something insane. And they're just like marching these warhounds, that they're like, they had to move them around the hotel on the like luggage carts because they're so big. Yeah, that was awesome. And I have no great love of 40K, but even I was like, this is freaking amazing. So yes, so much to see, so much to do. Check it all out. Look forward to seeing many of you there. But of course, as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.